And welcome to the show, Our Islam and Community Issues. My name is Naeem Sharif, and we have our guest today, Lama
Rangdro.
Because I don't want to mess up your name. Our topic, this is part 4 of a series. We've been very fortunate to have this brother here to talk about his experiences in life, talk about Buddhism, talk about meditation, talk about things that I think all people should know a little bit about. The problem with so many of us, we don't know each other, and we don't know what each other think, how our traditions are. So then there's always misgivings. There's always, we always have suspect and so forth. So this is Buddhism for Black Americans, a conversation, but it's also for other people to kind of get an insight. So without further ado, I want you to tell your story.
Well, I wanted to make sure and give a shout out to the Buddhist, the African American Buddhist LGBTQ community. They're doing some fantastic work in places where people have been reluctant to tread. In some faith systems, same-sex relationships is against their doctrine. That doesn't mean that people in same-sex relationships or exploring their sexuality are less human. And so they too have the same challenges with their emotions that we do in the cis community. And I just want to, I know that there are people who have been out there for at least the last 20 years, holding space, creating safe places to go, sharing meditation techniques, encouraging people to broaden their horizons in terms of what Buddhism is for them, to encourage their political activity, and to really meet the needs of their community. And I cannot speak for them, but I think it's important to send that shout out and just acknowledge them. Because sometimes when we have these men and women images and so forth that I've shared, we can get into a binary rut. And Buddhism is not bound by that. And that's one of the reasons. There's nothing in the Buddhist doctrine that says that a person's sexuality restricts them in any way or lessens them or makes them greater than anyone. So that being said, one of the things I wanted to remind folks about myself is, I am a ghetto boy. I was raised in a place where, the neighbor down the street put their woman, put her baby in a pot of boiling water. And, there was crime everywhere. There was violence everywhere. We had white young men going through our neighborhood shooting up the houses. We had riots at our high school. One time I went out the front door of my high school and there was a police line all the way down the street, in the middle of the street, and on the other side were screaming, yelling white kids, saying all kinds of epithets and threatening us. This was the 60s, and it was intense. And I tried to get away from that by going to college. And within the first 3 weeks, I smelled smoke in my dormitory. I thought, let me go on and pull the fire alarm to, save everybody. And when I opened the door, this cross was burning. It fell on the carpet. So I spent that moment stomping on it. And so I've had that, kind of in my face, racism. And we had riots in our university in the common area over food. White fraternity was having a food fight, and I remember it was in slow motion. A piece of cake flew up in the air and hit a sister. Bam! And the rest is history.
That was it.
And so, and everywhere I've gone in the world, I have, encountered this racist thing. It's not been easy. In my theater training, I auditioned for and was accepted for study at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London, patronized by the Queen of England, on Gower Street. And when I finally made it to the front door and I was about to step over the threshold, I thought to myself, somebody made a mistake. I should not be doing this. I did not feel worthy. I had auditioned against every young actor in the English-speaking world, and I had made my place, but still I didn't feel it was my place because I took my injury from America with me. And so, you know, I was not a privileged kid. I did not grow up isolated and insulated from what was going on. I remember Martin's success on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and I remember seeing his casket going down the street. I remember Malcolm on television debating and, you know, being shocked at what he had the unmitigated gall to say. And I remember seeing him splayed out, you know, with the shotgun blast too. I lived through these things. I remember when Kennedy and the Kennedys were assassinated. The LA riots, I was in LA. I remember the 4,000 National Guardsmen who surrounded Watts. And I remember seeing tanks and armored carriers going down the street and men with fixed bayonets and the beating and the bludgeoning and all the brothers who had come back from the Vietnam War who weren't in Watts jumping into cars with their rifles and going into the city because they couldn't take it anymore. I grew up in all of that. And Buddhism, the control of the upset in my humanity is my response. Because if I were to move forward in my life, I couldn't be a father holding all that. I couldn't be a loving husband. I couldn't be anything. And I couldn't live with myself. And so I think that, you know, I just want to break it down to what it is, why I'm into this. I'm not thinking Buddhism is so great. I was like somebody who went to the hospital and tried to find the medicine that would work for me. And that's all it is. And so that I like the fact that it can be shared. And I say this to all of my Buddhist teaching colleagues who are afraid to teach in the black community, who are afraid to talk to the Nation of Islam, who are afraid to look in the mirror and see the ugliness in themselves. We have to be better than this, see, because there's nobody coming for our community.
That's for sure.
But us. And it's how this is our time. This is our time to make a statement to our young people. We know the feelings that they go through because we had them too. And we know who survived and who didn't. And so this is our time, regardless of what track you're on, to return that investment that was made to us that allowed us to be here.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's what's behind my interest in Buddhism. And, you know, we have not sent discoverers into the Buddhist world from our community very much. So I tell people it's like looking at the stars, you know, and an astronaut who wonders what it's like up there. I'm simply a Buddha-naut. I wondered what it was like in the Buddhist world because I saw my family and my friends were pictures of them. How did that happen? And that's all it's been and to use that as a healing mechanism. You know, that's a very important thing. And we have a whole new crop of young Muslims, young Buddhists, young Christians, young scientists, young doctors, you know, and they, to the extent that we can inspire them with what we have been through in our lives, to let them know that what comes at you is survivable, and you need to check your baggage and make sure that you're not taking something in the future that's going to destroy you. You know what I mean? This type of thing. So I just wanted to thank you for your invitation for me to come and do these shows and to send that message. That's, you know, leaving here without saying that would have seemed to have been still short on the message.
Well, like I said, we appreciate, you know, you bringing in, you know, this spiritual aspect of this healing, because I hear so much of that in the African American community now, that we need healing. I hear it from people like you. I heard it from Aaron Dixon, co-founder of the Seattle chapter of the Black Panther Party. I, you know, hear it in the Muslim sermons. You hear it in the Christian sermons and so forth. And I hear it from this one group, the Griot party. And their thing is have people come up and express the things that have happened in their lives, and then how can they heal from it? Okay, you express your history, your disappointments, your sadness. Okay, so now, how can I heal from this? And these people tell their stories, you know, openly in the public.
Right.
And other people are doing the same thing. Then other people in the audience, they say, yeah, I've gone through the same thing, but I didn't want to express this because I feel that it would be, maybe I'm not strong enough, or it's a shortcoming, but other people are feeling the same thing. And then this whole African-American community, you know, it's like I said, has been suffering, and there needs to be some type of medicine and some type of extraction of this loneliness, this hurt, you know, because when the people have been subjected like we have, I mean, we lost our culture, you know this, you know, our religious traditions, spiritual traditions, our language, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's some insight from the Buddhist point of view. I'll put it on myself. In order for me to regain my sanity and return the deed of my mind to myself, I had to come to grips with the fact that I am marooned in the world. I'm marooned here. This is not my place, this America. I love America. I'm American, and I represent it. But as a human being, this is not my place. I'm disconnected, disassociated in a way that I can never go back. I will never be able to be at one with my human history. So therefore, as a maroon, what is the way out? How do I heal myself? I stopped looking around for the answers. And I came to the conclusion that the healing for me begins inside. Now you see me travel all over the world. I've shared that with you. But let me say this. Where do you think the money came from? I don't pay to travel. People invite me all over the world because I have worked so hard on myself that for some reason it's inspirational to people. Last year I was invited by the government of India in the land of Buddha to come and speak along with 20 black law professors from colleges and universities in America, along with in a conference that also included Dr. King's son and Rahul Gandhi. And 9,000 people showed up. And it was a great honor as a ghetto boy to be invited by the government of India in the land of Buddha to come and and the conference was on social justice. See, so that's not important. What's important is that I have worked hard to be a better person, and that is a common language in the world. We all struggle, but if you can achieve a certain level of accomplishment in going inside and healing yourself, that it becomes apparent to people, and you can move through the world as an ambassador of personal inner transformation. And so this Buddhism gave me that ability. I was in, as I told you, I was in the psych business for 20 years, didn't get it, because I was allowed to not see myself as my own problem. But Buddhism didn't allow me to do that. I went to war with my weapons. These are my weapons, right? Getting a bead on my ego, outside and inside, and then causing it to surrender to my will. Right? And there is no greater effort that a human being can make, regardless of your faith. Every faith has this aspect to it. So you don't have to go here or go there or compare or see the high and the low or the judgment or this or that. You just need to use what you have available to you and see who the real culprit of your dissatisfactions in life are. And when you come to that conclusion and you realize you're marooned and nobody's coming for you, you know who the doctor is that you need, yourself. You know what the medicine is, your own mind. And you know who the patient is, your own dissatisfactions. And so Buddhism is like this, but it's not unique to Buddhism. And so when we do that work, so we got to give people actual techniques and methods on how to help and heal themselves. You can't just say you need to heal.
Exactly.
You see, so that's why I'm with you today, and I'm trying to share. I've shared the outward aspects of it, you know, travel, you know, and that type of thing. But inwardly, what is the actual technique?
What's the blueprint?
Yeah, it is recognizing that the only person coming to destroy your life is you, and the only person who can save you from you is you. And if you don't get about that work, the inevitability is that knowing the nature of anger alone, and there are many other deleterious emotions, but knowing the anger of the nature of negativity itself, you will not survive it. And so how to do that is to, we call it the locus of the focus. What is the locus of the focus of your spiritual life?
The locus of your, I like that, yeah. I can see where that's coming from.
So this is, we call this a dorje in Tibetan. It's a vajra. And this top represents a compass, north, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west, southwest. It symbolizes in all directions. This represents the infinitude of up, the zenith. This represents the infinitude of below, the nadir. So this is a scepter, but it's also a weapon, because this is the representation of where we look for where that ego is hiding. Outside and inside. And then we attack it with this weapon. This is the wielding the scepter and the bell of compassion. And we attack it. I love you. Don't ruin my life. Don't destroy me. I will hold you safely. Don't be afraid. I got you. I got your back. We're going to do this. Death is coming. So between now and then, let's be partners. Let's not be against each other. And this symbol here is this is the yang. This is the yin. The power of the yin and yang, never been separated. And we pray, I pray in Tibetan and Sanskrit, Om Benzo Sato Samaya Manupalaya Benzo Sato Tena Pashina Shira Meboha Sutakaya Meboha Amarata Meboha Sawa Siddhi Mebaya Sawa Kama Susame Shidam Kudu Hong Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tatagata Benzo Mame Munzo Benzo Bawa Mahasamaya Taso. I bind you, ego, with the goodness of my heart. So this kind of internal search and finding, and then binding with love in your own, using your own magic. Whether you use this or that doctrine is not important, but understanding the locus of the focus, because you only have so much time in life. You must use the time that you have to not be distracted, to get to the point and then hold on the point. And you can do that and have a job and, you know, take care of your family, raise your children. You can do all that and this at the same time. And in our tradition, when I practice, I tell my students, I do not give a flying anything about you and what you think about your meditation. I want to talk to your wife. I want to talk to your kids. Because until they see a change in you based on your belief, whatever you're thinking is irrelevant. See? And so the measure of, I'm saying, I've shared a technique and what the locus of the focus is. Now, what is the measure of success? The measure of success is the people around you are relieved of the burden of you not doing your work. This is what it's all about. It's not unique to Buddhism, but the family where the father turns around and stops being angry, stops drinking, or the son decides to give up, you know, gang life or the drugs or, you know, abusing women. And so the person who changes the behavior that brings relief to the people who have no choice in being close to you because they love you, then you understand the locus of the focus and the measure of success. And the rest is how you apply yourself to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, a lot of people come to me, and I say this, not in our community, I say this all over the world. In France, I say it through my French translator, okay? In Sweden, I say it through my Swedish translator. In India, I say it through my Indian translator. In Cambodia, I say it to my because everywhere in the world, this, what I just said, is applicable, right? It's a human thing, and it is not located in a particular faith tradition. So, as I told you, this Cummings final statement in the Cohen hearing, we are better than this. We men have to have a reckoning with our own humanity for the betterment of those around us. We abandoned, marooned people in this American experience must rise to be, if necessary, global leaders in how to accomplish overcoming great suffering. And if and when we do that, and the world is waiting for us, they're waiting. They're sitting out there, okay, we saw Dr. King, and then we saw Malcolm, we saw the Panthers, and then they're waiting for us. And this is our time. That's my feedback, you know, and from asking people all over the world, you know, what do you want from African America? We want you guys to stand up and be who we know you are.
Exactly.
Right, and that's not a judgment. It's not a put down. It's a call for us to rise above the goings on that we see everywhere around us right now. And
well, you know, on that point, it's something that's just in my personal thinking, and people don't have to agree with it, but it's just something in my spirit that says when the African American people, and it won't be all of us or whatever, but it'll be a good number, you know, when we get ourselves together from healing, from everything, you know, economic disenfranchisement, education, spirituality. We all had spirituality, but if we get that together, all these things together, then this shows the world that if this person, these people, this group can do it, then anybody in humanity. And I'm saying if that happens, to me, and this is my little thinking, that the universe will be complete.
I cannot tell you what it's like to be a ghetto child on the border of Russia and hear in heavy Russian accents them quoting Dr. King, Malcolm, knowing about the Panthers, Alice Walker, you know, on the other side of the earth, in a culture that's not, to hear them passionately talking about the liberative aspects of those efforts and how it affected the people of Russia. And to be down in the slums of India, where illiteracy is the way of life, for them to talk about Dr. King. They know, see, their leaders know, even though that the people are ignorant, they spent a lot of time talking to them by radio back in the day, and touring India and explaining the African American up from slavery story. And these people who are illiterate memorized our story. And to hear them recount it as something memorable that they heard, that even after all these years, and I met, you know, elders who heard this discussion back in the 50s. You know, they heard about African Americans and Du Bois and Madam C.J. Walker and all of the efforts to get black soldiers out of the dregs of military life and into the throes of battle or whatever they wanted to do. All of these things, that hear these people who, I mean, you look at them and you think they have nothing, but they know who we are, right? So we have already impacted the world. We have changed the world. We are a model for people who have no chance whatsoever to even understand the basic freedoms that we know and take for granted every day. We are a light to them. And so that is our duty. It doesn't matter what's going on in Washington, D.C., and what color hat somebody wears and what phrase they put on it. We've seen all these things come and go before.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What stays is, what is our response? What is our dignified response as human beings? And so, I agree with you, yes, that this is a very important and seminal issue. And unfortunately, we don't travel as a community. And if we do, we travel like tourists, and everything is made and prepared for us. And so we never think and engage with people on a humanistic level. But when you make the effort to do that, you find that, African Americans, despite what we've been through, are highly regarded in this world. And so that's our legacy. That's our tradition. That's who we are. Doesn't matter what we're called here. Who we are in the world is significant. And so I agree with you, and I'm just giving you feedback, having traveled in all these places. I didn't read this in a book.
You've been there.
Okay, I didn't go to a lecture and hear about this. I mean, these feet right here have been down the road, and brave the cold and the heat and the jungle and the mosquitoes and the freezing temperatures and the abuse and all of it. So. I think you're right. I think the world is looking for us to return to the elegance of our greatest leaders in our generation, if possible. If not, to inspire the next generation to rise above whatever they have to face.
So true, so true. So we look like we're almost about out of time. We want to thank you for this 4-part series. Encourage people to see it on cable TV in Seattle, Bremerton, and Olympia, and on the YouTube channel to see this. This has been really rewarding for us, and we appreciate your time, and we love your stories. Matter of fact, brother, we love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank the audience and everybody. And thanks again. Peace and prayers.